Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our final game out of the round of 4. It's going to be Snipe Gaming going up against Team Dignitas, and we are underway here. The blue team today fighting out of the bottom of the minimap in the left side of your spectator UI. It's going to be Snipe Gaming North America. It's going to be Wolfie in the solo lane as hell. Xing going to be your jungle Thanatos allied, and in Continentia combining for the Shiba Lanke Geb duo lane, and Nick will be your mid lane Zhonghui. And they will be going up against Team Dignitas, once the powerhouse team of North America, now fighting to remain in the second place seed in this tournament. It is Zapman and Shadowq combining for the Apollo Wukong duo lane. Duro going to be subbing in for the best in mid lane as Agni. Lassus in the jungle as Kali, and your solo laner will be Anatoly as Ra.
Yeah, we see 3 early game wards come out. I love that vision. Right now, Snipe has complete vision of whatever it is Dignitas wants to do. There's 1 ward right on the entrance to the long lane, 1 ward right on the entrance, and coincidentally the mid harpies right on the left side, and then the same ward on the other side. So definitely very interesting ward placement. Going to give them superior vision at the very beginning of the game. Not seeing anything too crazy come out as far as builds are concerned. Allied went for rank 3 sprint instead of a damage item off the start, which is a little unorthodox, but nothing too crazy. We've seen a lot of people do that, so I like that. You're a lot safer, especially Allied on that Shiba Lanke. If he wants to clear the wave and use his Rising Jaguar, he loses his escape. So that early sprint allows him to stay much more slippery than a Shiba Lanke normally would be.
Yeah, the only real, and it's a pretty small downside to that opening versus what we see Zapman going for is about that 4% movement speed. In a kind of extended chase, Zapman will be a little bit better. The dash a little bit longer than Shiba Lanke's Rising Jaguar, plus the extra 4% movement speed. We're talking very minor, as Allied does, of course, have the Sprint 3, so you would expect him probably to be able to chase it down. It would be a very, very long chase if for that 4% to really make a difference. So we've seen Allied go for this build before, but at 600 gold, the Sprint 3 early start is being, I would expect it to be pretty effective, although I don't know if it's Shiba Lanke is necessarily the best god for it. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, getting into range for poison darts is pretty important.
Yeah, and so in order to clear the wave with poison darts, you have to sort of put yourself in harm's way. You have to take the same sort of side angle that a Zhonghui would, and Geb will prevent a lot of that poke, as we see just a little poking going on in that duo lane. As we check on in the solo lane with both junglers hanging out, Laz is choosing to dip out early. Shane is going to kind of chase him a little bit. Let's see if he initiates on these back harpies, Bart. I'm excited for this.
Well, Lassus did hand them down pretty quickly there, and that's a big change given the 20-second additional respawn time on the mid camps, is that you actually have time to use your hand twice in the early part of the game. So, in fact, that change likely saving Lassus quite a bit of trouble. Right side lane, Xing has an angle, and Anatoly here's going to be in some trouble. He's going to eat the silence, going to eat the death scythe as well. 2 more auto attacks going to do it. They're not going to find it, but Anatoly going to have to be a little bit careful here and be forced to heal up under tower now. Left side of the map, Zapman and Shadowq trade heavily with the Continentia and Allied. Look at this, all together, both teams losing quite a bit of HP. It's a pretty exciting first 2 minutes with no kills.
Yeah, one thing Zapman is, if there's one thing that Zapman is, it's very confident, and there's one thing that Allied is very confident. So we're going to see very aggressive play, I think, come out from these 2 lanes. Both Shadowq playing that support warrior who plays aggressive as is, and in Continentia playing a traditional guardian in Geb, but the shield allowing his hunter to play very aggressive. So 2 different ways of playing aggressive, but the result is the same. Both hunters are going to wind up playing very aggressive. So I'm excited to see this high octane lane come out as everybody sort of grabs mid harpies and makes their rounds about the jungle.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dual lane. You have the Sprint 3 and rollout from Geb, which will allow them to re-engage and chase down Dignitas very, very effectively. But Dignitas has a pretty tremendous damage advantage in this lane, so it's going to go really back and forth. In the extended engagement, Snipe should be winning this, but in the kind of poking and burst situation, Dignitas has a massive edge.
Yeah, and I have to mention it again. I just love to watch Allied and Zapman play against each other. They've been friends for a while. They've been playing against each other for a while, and they both have such an aggressive play style that it's always such an interesting lane to watch. That said, Wolfie versus Anatoly is also a great lane to watch, especially Wolfie's very aggressive and Anatoly is very calculated. And playing that Hell allows him to be aggressive as you can clear a lane almost instantly at a certain point. And Anatoly with the heal will allow him to play. Passive is the wrong word for Anatoly, just more calculated. He makes his decisions based on, I feel like he has a calculator in his front pocket. So like very watch out for that lane as Shinx Thanatos is kind of looking to make this take two again, opting instead not to go for it, just dipping into the lane and making his presence known.
Yeah, with the sprint, it's going to be pretty tough to lock down Anatoly. He doesn't have beads up and running yet, though. But, while Hell is a bursty god, I don't think she's going to do that well against Ra, who, Anatoly plays it right, will be sitting in his Celestial Heal Beam when that Thanatos comes down, and shouldn't let himself get low enough to be executed. So, it's going to be a tough gank to pick up the Ra, also with the added move speed, plus the sprint that he gets from his passive, and of course, the active item. It's a tough kill. I mean, I think Agni's maybe a little bit easier because Nick has a stun to follow up the Thanatos stun as well. And of course, if they can catch Lasses out in the jungle, Kali, even with the leap and the AoE stun, is not the most slippery or necessarily effective character. In fact, Lasses may be in a little bit of trouble. Rollout coming from Incon, but he's just going to be forced away as those meteors wreck the Geb early game.
Yeah, Aduro, the best. It's an Agni, Bart. It's an Agni. Those meteors are going to rain lots of damage. As we see the exact points that Snipe had warded, Dignitas has replaced their wards with their own. So Snipe still has a little bit of vision going into this duo lane, but full vision across the board, full defensive vision, I should say, coming from Dignitas. Very good ward placement from there. Look for some aggressive wards. I know Anatoly likes to ward the enemy's damage buff or orange buff, depending on the side of the map. So look for that, for sure.
Yeah, I think that, it's a smart play by Dignitas, as you mentioned, a very defensive warding for them. I think they're going to really be trying just to farm Kali up. I don't think they're necessarily too interested in trying to find early ganks with her. She really comes into her own when she gets her core item on. She's pretty weak besides that. Early game Kali, in fact, really known for having very low damage, in fact. But once Shin's Blades and Death... hold that thought, is we're going to have initiation coming in. In comes Shing, but it's going to be beads out into ultimate immediately. I'm sorry, just the ultimate there by Shadowcue gets out of that. So what looked to be a pretty heavy engagement there, lots of ultimates used, ends up being a pretty easy escape for Shadowcue. Well played by him.
Yeah, great. That's pretty much what to do when you get hit with two ultimates on Wukong. You just sit on that cloud, you wait for everybody to figure out if they want to progress on you or leave. Snipe chose to leave, as it's not really worth it. Dignitas has a little bit of a lead, almost a 10k. We're looking at like a 7-8k lead right now. They just want to farm. Snipe wants to do the right thing, not get overexcited. Shing is very good at just being present. He doesn't always need a kill to scare the other team. So right there, he showed up in the lane and said, hey, I'm still here. I'm not just hanging out on solo lane side. Watch out.
Yeah, but these rotations from Shing have started to hurt him. He's about 300 gold behind Lassus, who is definitely the weaker flash farm carry. So, it's while Shing is definitely, you wouldn't say that he hasn't snowballed at this point, or he's incapable of snowballing at this point in the game, he is already behind Lassus, who has the inferior farm, and that's not a good sign.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the story. I feel like that's pretty much the story of Shing and Lazarus collectively, if you want to sum it up.
Oh, they're going to go on Shing here in the mid lane.
In the mid lane, Shing, lots of damage on Shing, but Incon is there with the shield. The Agni bombs come rain down. The Incontinentia ultimate comes out. Everybody's just kind of backing off as Nick comes right back up, throws the card and says, hey, I'm still here. I got to sprint. Don't touch my friends. Great defensive from there.
That's going to be shadows of what's to come there. Shing overextending with Incontinentia there to back him up. Nick actually forced to use his ultimate there in the mid lane to peel them off of that Gold Fury camp. Quite low as Dignitas as well. Maybe a small opportunity for Shing to get some tower damage here. Snipe. Oh, he's taken to the air actually for this one. He wants to find Lassus the orange buff, and he's going to be able to find him if he sees him. I'm not sure if Shing's going to catch him. No, they're going to go for Anatoly here. Lassus maybe an easier target, but they've locked down Toly. Do they have the damage? They do. The ultimate from Shibalanke nicely timed here to force him to stall out, and the death from the skies of Thanatos during that midnight that Shibalanke brings is really, really hard to deal with.
Yeah, that is
great vision.
Yeah, that is a great combination coming out from that, and that's just communication right there. Allied picked Shibalanke, knowing that everybody's in Mumble. As we see Incon roll out, I love that move, Bart. Even if it doesn't hit anybody, it's just exciting to watch some guy roll into a ball, Sonic the Hedgehog style, and destroy a bunch of minions. You're gonna see Allied clear off his wave as there's minions actually hitting the left tower for Snipe, and it's just a minor amount of damage, but we see that black on the tower, so that. Any damage is some damage, and we know how much that man loves damage, so any bit off of that 100 is just an appetizer for Zapman.
Speaking of damage on towers, Wolfie picks up the first tower of the game. It's going to be on Solo Island, the tier 1 on the right side. Really easily picked up for him. The Anatoly rotation force out to mid. We saw the gank happen just off the orange buff, and that lets Hell, with her healing, keep that wave fully supported and push it right through the tower there. So a nice tranche of gold going the way of Snipe.
Exactly, and you mentioned exactly what I wanted to mention. Yes, she's a mage. She doesn't have as much push as a physical god. As we see Xing sort of sniffing out what's going on. Shadowq knows he's there thanks to the sentry ward right there. Stun comes out from our Duro, but just another poke in the middle lane. Stay away from our Harpies. We see you. We have a ward. Actually, they can counter this ward right here, but they choose not to. I guess the vision just isn't. Not there. It goes. I was gonna say they're already picking up the sentry wards, as we see Shadowq has that rank 3 Eye of Providence already, whereas Incon is sitting on rank 1.
We have a little bit of an engagement at the Gold Furies here. Meteor's coming in from Agni, doing a lot of damage. Xing nearly going to fall. In fact, Xing is going to go down to the double dot between Agni and Kali. Maybe that's why they have to pick up their Incon in some trouble now as well. Shield not out to save your life, boy. Nick is going to dive on to the mid lane of a Duro and get a response kill there for Snipe, but he's going to be in some trouble as well. Zapman with the sprint active. Are they going to dive this? They're not. All 3 blades do hit Nick, but that's not going to be enough to trigger the dive. Dignitas gets the better of that trade.
Yeah, that was a great engagement from Dignitas. Xing just couldn't. So Xing likes to build a little defensively on Thanatos, but he's not there yet. And Dignitas knows that he's going to come out with a Hide of the Urchin and possibly in addition to a Magi's Blessing. So they wanted to get that kill early, and they did. They targeted him with, like you said, the double dot. I like that combination, and it did work, Bart. It did a lot of work. And sitting at 1 tower down, Dignitas got exactly what they needed, even though they're still at 300 gold deficit isn't anything to talk about, but it's definitely there and it's in their minds.
Yeah, they didn't get a tower push out of that because it was a little bit of an extended engagement, and they didn't really force a lot of rotation out there, I don't think necessarily. They did have the Geb and the Thanatos that they were able to secure. So, I mean, very, very important pickups. Most importantly, Xing. Just keeping Lassus ahead of Xing is going to be very important. Kali, 100% requires an advantage. I would say not all junglers necessarily you have to be ahead. You can be even. You can be, trading. You can be even a little bit behind with, stuff like Fenrir and those types of gods. Thor even. But Kali, 100% you need to be ahead because she starts to fall off really, really heavily if she can't actually assassinate targets.
Right, and unfortunately for her, she's sitting at a very even 5,400 gold with Xing. She's up maybe 50 gold, but she's down almost a level and a half. She just hit level 2, whereas Xing has been sitting at level 11. And the pings come out. We're going to look at an engagement on the right side. Wolfie is stuck in between a rock and a hard place, but down comes Xing and decimates Anatoly. All of a sudden, this is looking like a very different engagement as both of them go down. Laz is also down for the count, and that's Xing just doing typical Xing stuff, being just sneaky and surprising you out of nowhere. Thanatos just fits Xing's playstyle so well of being everywhere you don't think he is, and then he comes down on you with that execution, and it turns an entire engagement that looked perfect for Dignitas in the exact other direction.
It was a beautiful, beautiful play there. I mean, the coordination between the Shibalanki ultimate, Xing rotating in, didn't get a chance to see him rotating through, and just enough burst damage from the Hell, and shout-outs to Wolfie, you're hitting his Dark Stance number 1 and number 3 there onto the Raw, forcing him out of the heal beam as well with, through positioning of where he was in that fight, leads to Thanatos getting the execute, and what an execute it was. A big pickup there. As we mentioned earlier, Anatoly on Raw, a tough character to really secure kills on, I think, so, it's a big pickup for Snipe. They keep the Raw of Anatoly down to 0-2 now, and they also get an important kill onto Lassus to slow down, as we mentioned, his very, very important snowball.
Yeah, definitely for sure. As we see the initiation come out, the rollout into the ultimate from Incon puts people down low health. The execute comes down, stuns, doesn't execute. Shadowq almost gets decimated, but instead jumps up on the cloud. Geb goes down, thankfully, but out comes the knockup. And Shadowq's looking at Xing. Xing gets him and heals up from it. Gonna save his absolute life from getting that kill. Nick is stuck in between 1, 2, 3 members of the red team. Team Dignitas is gonna take him down. Xing is being chased down by Zapman. Zapman just puts another bullet into Xing's face to drop him down. We see Allied chilling on the other side of the map, get a lot of tower damage. He wants to get this tower after his team just fell 2-1 against Dignitas.
Yeah, that's good news for Dignitas getting an answer kill right away like that. But Anatoly still, basically forced out of his lane here by Wolfie. Zapman putting a lot of pressure on this tower, and the answer tower here is going to be very important for them as well. So, Dignitas actually rallies back really well from what had to be a pretty morale-killing death onto that Raw.
Yeah, definitely a big morale killer, of course, but Zapman. I heard somewhere that Zapman was a traditional Greek name for tower damage, and boy, is he proving that. He just got that tower. He's on the other side of his quote-unquote lane, killing the solo lane tower for his partner, and for his teammate Anatoly, that was slightly losing that lane after losing the tower at the 7-minute mark, if I'm not mistaken. So that was very good attention, not only to objectives, but what objective to hit. Very good from that.
So looking at the itemization here, Wolfie going Pen Boots, Doom Orb into the MLC of Renewal. So a little bit of shades of Kagane over here for Snipe. They're going to be prioritizing that Mail of Renewal and Hell. It's just a great item that's starting to really build more and more momentum in the competitive scene as they go to pick up. Allied is going a Devourer's Gloves and a Chin's Blades build. So this is pretty similar to what we used to see with the Heartseeker Chins when Chins had lifesteal on it. It's effectively the same thing. A Chin's Rush with a little bit of lifesteal coming from the stacking item. So ultimately, Allied, once finished, should have a small edge over Zapman, but it's not going to be for long, and Zapman's going to have the Pen Boots up and running, and that's going to draw everything basically back to even.
Yeah, we're going to see the Pen Boots come out of Zapman as the small engagements coming out on the left side. Shadow Q with the knock up onto Incon. Out comes the Shibalanki ultimate, and Shadow Q is forced into the ultimate. They know that Xing is here, even though they can't see him. They get the execute that's just a stun on Zapman, forcing the across the skies. Can they turn something around onto Shadow Q is the question here, but he just uses 72 transformations to get out of dodge.
Yeah, and sprint popped by Zhangquei trying to make it in there, but Nick going to be a little bit late on his rotation. Shadow Q sniping out a ward as well with that Jingyu Bang from Wukong. Rotations coming out across the board. In fact, Anatoly has made it all the way over to the left side lane. Hell is going to soak up some experience in the mid in the meantime while both teams fall back and farm up their blue buffs. So an attempt, but not a successful conversion there, and forcing some rotations, however, Dignitas. But they don't really make to Snipe, but they don't make any room really to farm for anybody there. So, they need to try to, I think, maybe force engagements away from that left side lane and make some force that Apollo ult out and get some more farm secured onto Allied.
Yeah, for sure. The Allied should be looking for a kill just to work with that Shibalanki passive, which of course gives him damage, additional physical power for each kill that he secures. Sitting at 0 deaths is always a good thing. With the 4 assists is going to help him out, but he's not getting anything from that passive. We see the duo lane of Dignitas freezing out Snipe from getting that XP by not attacking the wave. It's such a cool tactic. I love it. They don't attack the wave so that their minions so that the enemy minions kill their own, so that when Snipe eventually comes back to lane, there's less minions for them to kill, thus less experience for them to gain. Very cool play from Team Dignitas in the long lane.
Yeah, smart stuff you would expect from such an experienced and tenured team as Dignitas here. In fact, they're all going to grow up. We may have a big engagement here at the Gold Fears. There's 5 members of Dignitas here. They have to notice that Allied is still in that left side lane. They should want to fight here, but they're not going to be able to actually secure any kind of CC onto Snipe there. So even with the 5v4, they don't look to dive in to, what has to be Incontinentus Geb being the real problem there.
Yeah, that Geb is just, it's not scary in the traditional sense like some other gods, but it's such a deterrent to cause an engagement, as we see both members of the long lane jump onto Allied, but with that Rising Jaguar and that sprint combined, he just has so much length. It's almost like a Cupid dash where he can just get out. The sprint actually affects the Rising Jaguar, by the way.
I don't know, yeah, does it? Does it make the dash portion of it, I guess, a bit faster? The airspeed, I guess that is based on your run speed, so yeah, probably increasing as well. So making him a little bit more escapable, and of course it does have that CC immunity towards the end of the leap portion of that. So that gives him a very, very quick and very difficult to stop escape without something like an Amir wall or Thor wall or a ring, some kind of physical blocker.
Yeah, the only way that they can really affect that is, like you said, you mentioned the CC immunity is only on the latter part of the ability. So if Shadow Q can get either the Ox or the Master's Will knock up from his number 2 ability, that can prevent it. But even still, the sprint will be taking an Allied as a very slippery player to begin with. So.
Yeah, and without and he doesn't have beads yet, so that lockdown before he gets his dash off is possible, but they'll basically have to 100 to 0 him because he will have that sprint and will be ready to use it, I'm sure. No Gold Furies yet. This game is a little bit interesting. 17 and a half minutes into it. Looking at the scoreboard, we're basically even. A little bit of gold going the way of Snipe, a little bit of experience going the way. I'm sorry, first that. Dignitas a little bit ahead in gold, Snipe a little bit ahead in experience, but no more than 1,000 in either direction. And this game is basically still all squared as we approach 18 minutes elapsed.
Yeah, so what got Snipe an early, not necessarily lead, but morale lead, just what scared Dignitas a lot was that Shibalonki ultimate, end of the world apocalypse, into that Shing out of nowhere, execute stun, or execute in some cases. And Dignitas, after getting ganked successfully twice by that, adapted, and they didn't let it happen the third time. We see a very split engagement. Kali's going to come onto Nick, but Incontinentia rolls out from halfway across the map and gets that rollout. Zapman's going to land on three members of Team Snipe. Not going to kill anybody, but the knockup is enough to say, get out of here. We're going to see Dignitas look to push this tower, and Allied is just going to stay there and Zapman it up against the team that owns Zapman. So they're not going to get this mid tower. Thankfully for Snipe, as this engagement keeps battling on. Nobody's getting low thanks to both Incontinentia on Geb. He is actually low. And Wolfie healing everybody up. Those two are going to provide a lot of sustain, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to prevent this tower from going down. As Shing is coming on, he's going to land on somebody. He gets the stun onto Anatoly. He hits him with the silence. Is it enough to kill him? He misses the Death Scythe, but the damage from the auto attacks and the Death Scythe is enough to kill him after a couple of missed attempts. Now, actually, while that entire engagement went out, as Enduro is still in there getting Nick, and Shing is going to make Enduro pay for that. Lots and lots of back and forth, winding up going 2 versus 3 in the way of Snipe, and even heavier in the way of Snipe, as that Dignitas push didn't work, and Allied got not one, but
he's going to find Zapman as well. Zapman in a lot of trouble here. The shield coming out from Geb a little bit early, doesn't get the stun wipe there for Shing, so he's unable to secure that. But this was a incredibly important engagement, and Snipe has effectively won the early game with that engagement. They did exactly what we were saying they needed to do. They actually forced a fight, even though Dignitas actually forced that fight, and they forced Apollo out of that left side lane. Ally took 2 towers on that. Tons of farm secured for your Hunter, and Shibalanka, definitely a powerful one. Incon and Wolfie, they stall that fight out long enough to make sure that farm is secured, and they even get some turnaround picks with the rotation coming back in from Shing, who lived with literally 1 HP there. Had Mr. Zapman done about 1 or 2 more damage, he would have killed the Thanatos. The final auto attack landing as Thanatos dashed past that tier 1 tower, so all things told, a very, very, very nicely played engagement from Snipe gives them really their first real lead of the game. They're about 1,000 gold and about 1,200 experience up, so they finally take control of both of those stats, and as long as Ally doesn't go down here on this tower dive in the left side, they're going to be okay, but Ally's getting knocked out by Shadowq, trying to run. No sprint available this time. They do have Somersault Cloud, and it's going to be Apollo Ultimate coming in as well, dashing into Shing. That's going to clear the decoy, but they still have Apollo in the air to dive when they need it, but it looks like the Shing rotation is going to be enough. Duro rotating over as well, but here's Incon in the boulder form, so looks like for now Allied is going to live and keep that farm on him.
Snipe is just playing incredible defense. This isn't necessarily a Dignitas-centric play where they just group up 5 when they know that the Hunter is in the other lane or the solo lane is in the other lane, and they push 5 on in the middle, as we see Snipe gearing up for his second engagement. Incon's going to roll in, and everyone is going to roll out as they're very afraid of Snipe. They saw what happened, and Snipe's going to turn this right around. They said, hey, you know what? You took 4 or 5 and pushed our mid. We're going to do the same damn thing to you. Worth noting, Zapman's sitting in his own lane, so he might be able to do exactly what Allied did, but with a superior sustain coming out, we see all of these abilities come out from Dignitas. It's not going to be enough. Laz is ticking very low.
The
not
Ghost.
using the ultimate, getting away. The Ghost tailed him, and he hits his ultimate at the exact time to not die from that. Zapman actually shaded over, didn't want to push his tower in typical Zapman fashion, and it was enough. Dignitas played good enough D to get them off the tower, but Snipe instead said, all right, we'll settle for a Gold Fury. Dignitas is not going to give up, though, Bart.
Yeah, Shing on the front lines, though, with the shield active is going to be too hard to stop. He's going to go ahead and ult and get out of there. He's going to look for a Duro. No, he's going to reprioritize a Shadowq now. A little bit awkward there from Shing. I think he should have gone for the Agni over the Wukong. Wukong, even though they both have pretty good escape, Wukong a little bit better there. Now Shing a little bit trouble as the minions beat into it, but he's going to be able to pick up Shadowq before he gets into that Sun Wukong Somersault Cloud and heal himself up a little bit. Imagine his blessing secured onto Shing with Jotun's Wrath. You have some more items coming out from Wolfie. It's going to be a Sleepiest as well for his 5th item. In the meantime, Wolfie gets a kill onto a Duro. Zapman takes to the skies. That'll be good for a kill onto Allied, but at what cost? He's going to be forced to beads and dash. Does he have his sprint available? Doesn't look like it. There is the Mez out at least on to Thanatos, so should save his life for the moment. Wolfie going to chase him out of this fight, and they're going to get another tower out of this. We'll Snipe.
Yeah, Snipe. They are just turning everything around. So excited, so exciting to see. They got the stop in the mid lane. Allied pushed those 2 towers. They went forward and it didn't work out, so they said, you know what, we'll just force the gold free fight. It worked out for them. Like I said, they have so much sustain between Wolfie and Incon, and Xing can just heal up with his Death Scythe. They take 2 towers in the mid lane. Dignitas has a single tower lined up, and that's all they have left as Snipe is sitting pretty on 5 towers complete. I am very interested to see how Dignitas plans to move ahead in this game, as they're sitting 6 at a 6k deficit.
Well, you see Dignitas rallying really, really quickly to the mid lane. They're going to try to take this before Snipe can rally back to it. Incon ultimate going to hold Lassus and Zatman in place. There's a second knockup. Shadowku coming through. He'll be able to knock up some of Snipe, but Wolfie is in the mix now. Aegis active. Lassus taking a lot of damage on her tower. I think he's going to go down here. The only need is one more hit on him. Rollout coming through. No, that's going to be enough with the slow into the rollout boulder. Down he will go in the air as Fancy Toes. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to find anybody. No, he's going to dash down onto the minions. If they can secure one more kill here, this is going to set up a fire giant for them. A lot of damage coming through onto Aduro there. Shing continues to pursue. Beats active. Can they stop him? No, they can't. He gets to the backline. Down goes the Agni. Moving out now is Shing. He's going to continue to put in the damage. I think he did 1,000 damage with Death Sight there.
Out of this world damage from Xing. I saw 80% turn into 20%. That was just Xing, and that's the aggressive play that I'm talking about that comes out of Xing and Allied. Xing said, 1v3, I don't care. If I get this kill, when I get this kill, I'm going to heal up. You know what? We'll even take their back harpies on the way to retreat. It might actually be a bad play for Allied. Nope, he's going to get out of there, so not a big deal for them. Snipe is playing one of the best games I have seen them play all year, Bart. This is fantastic and a treat to watch. Oh, wow.
And it's a perfect kind of synergy there that they've drafted just a fantastic lineup. Shibalanka, normally you see him drafting, you think, okay, you know, he's decent. You know, he has a pretty good kind of place in the competitive scene. He's very high damage, has very long range with his ultimate active, gets a free damage out of basically with his passive when the ultimate does have those stacks up, and ultimately, you know, has very, very high damage potential between his 2-3 and his enhanced with branching bola. Can stall a lane out pretty well and does well in the late game in terms of farm. Okay, so that Shibalanke is a hunter through and through. But the rest of the gods that they drafted around this, the Geb and the Thanatos, makes it so that you have a really interesting kind of interaction there where the Shibalanke ultimate can set up that Thanatos dive, and then between Magi's Blessing and the shield, and then Incon's going to grant him from that Geb, Thanatos is basically unstoppable. So all things told, it's been a very, very effective team comp. We have a game pause coming out from Xing. We'll hear from the admins here if this one's going to be a long one, but it's a Incon DCing there for just a couple minutes, but you know, back to that idea of the way they've drafted this team, that Shibalanke ultimate setting up the Thanatos ultimate is really great, and then they've drafted well around it, even beyond that, with Nick being fairly tanky and able to kind of take fights on his own and survive fairly well, Wolfie able to heal up the front lines. I think this Geb and Geb plus healer has been really, really effective so far in this tournament.
Yeah, especially a Hell healer who, rather than a heal over time like so many of the other healers in Smite, Wolfie on Hell just has a huge burst heal, coupled with that Doom Orb that doesn't get enough play in my opinion. It's the same trade-off as Heartseeker. If you die on Doom Orb, your stacks get cut in half, so a lot of people, mages are a lot more squishier than whoever buys Heartseeker, etc., etc., etc. We don't see a lot of Doom Orb play, but when we do, Wolfie has 2 deaths and can clear an entire wave with 1 button. When we do see that Doom Orb come out, it's very powerful, and it powers up that heal as well, Bart. So I think between Wolfie's heal and Incontinentia on Geb's shield, the defense capability is absolutely insane. And this happens all the time. Speaking to that pivotal play in the middle from Dignitas, that was their all-in. Hail Mary is pushing it because it's not that late, but that was their all-in. They needed that tower. They wanted that tower. They push it 5v4. And with those 2 characters, with Hell's massive heal and Incon's massive shield, it just stopped them. They couldn't do it. And it was very impressive to see those 2 work out.
So double mail of renewals coming out from Snipe here, guys. If you are just joining us, we are just in the middle of a pause here. Looks like the players are reconnecting, so we should be back any second there. There comes the unpause 2-1, and we are back underway. So taking a look at the items over here on the left side for Snipe. Okay, so it looks like we are a little bit out of sync here. Sorry about that, guys. We aren't on pause just yet. But mail of renewals coming through. Back to that idea for Snipe. It's gonna make it pretty tough for Dignitas to take the extended engagements, and now Divine Ruin force out from Maduro. And it looks like we're all synced up, guys. So we're gonna get back into the action now. It's going to be Snipe versus Dignitas. You are just joining us. 25 minutes on the clock have elapsed. But yeah, a Celpius plus the 2 mail of renewals plus the Bancroft's Talon means a lot of lifesteal, a lot of heal up. The Celpius making that even more strong with a 10% addition. I'm sorry, 50% addition. It gets to health and regen. And that forces out the Divine Rune from Aduro, which is definitely not where he would prefer to go.
Yeah, Aduro is being forced into that Divine Rune. Like you said, the healing is just too much. Dignitas realizes as Shing looks to get on Zapman. Gets down, no stun though as the ultimate comes out. Zapman knows that he does not want to deal with Shing just killing him right there. So Across the Skies comes out. He lands on those back harpies just to get some extra farm, as Zapman's always looking for that extra dollar.
So, I mean... Well, another very important pickup coming out here that maybe you would consider to be a real turning point of the game is Titan's Bane on Shing. Thanatos with Titan's Bane is a nightmare because he gets passive pen from his number 2, and the Titan's Bane gives him a tremendous amount of pen versus both towers and objectives. And so with that Titan's Bane now, he is a real split push threat, and he can likely be able to solo a tower before it kills him with a Magi's Blessing, Jotun's Wrath combination. They're giving him that extra mana and physical power and protections coming out from the Magi's Blessing. So all things told, you see they're going to go ahead and aggress onto the Fire Giant here, and they want to take this fight. Shadow Q is the one that's going to be in a little bit too deep. Going to force ultimate. Shing up in there as well. They're looking for the right target. Looks like it's going to be a Duro in the backlines. That's a quick execute as Nick channels out his damage with his recall demons. Last is getting fairly low. He will die in this engagement. It looks like Thanatos was not his target. He'll go down to the dot. Shadow Q being chased down. He'll go down as well. Lassus now gets cleaned up by Allied coming through. Zapman trying to secure Zhongquai in the backside is able to do it at dot. And now it's Anatoly and Zapman versus the 3 members of Snipe.
And Zapman's just trying to get out, and I don't know if he can. Incon rolls out, get the knockup. Wolfie misses the 1, but he gets the slow. That's probably enough to secure it as the 3 damage comes out. Allied is rising Jaguar. Zapman now secured his death as he shoved himself in a corner. Nothing really for him to do right there, Bart, as the rest of his team just goes down. Anatoly realizes, hey, I need to maintain a presence here, but hey, I don't want to lose my presence here by just dying. So he's just kind of hanging out, waiting to see if he'll get the opportunity to snipe. But it's worth noting that Anatoly doesn't have Hog 3 and Incon does. So there's absolutely no reason for Anatoly to be here. I guess he's just going to try and put out extra damage, as this is basically a free Fire Giant for Team Snipe after that beautiful performance.
Yeah, no way he's going to be able to get it. Third of the Snipe, nonetheless. Might as well. Even though it is a nearly impossible feat, it's still, in theory, there is some chance that he could have gotten it. So I guess I don't mind him staying there and trying to get it done. In the meantime, taking a look at Shing, going to be building into Witchstone. That's going to be really starting to slow down Lassus and Zapman, both who are relying fairly heavily on attack speed between the Aussie and the Chin size that they both have. So Witchstone, a very nice pickup there, giving him the extra physical protection. On to Thanatos being played by Shing. Malice is complete on Allied with his Chin size. So the items are really starting to come out from Snipe. And the map control as well. They have Fire Giant buff. Gold Fury should be free on the back of that. They group up and likely a push down the right side for that remaining tower.
And we're looking at a 6,000 gold lead in the realm of Team Snipe. And, you know, they're definitely, I always say that the best is a very good center, but what prevents him from being one of the best, ironically, is his consistency. But I think even on a low point for the best, they would have Dignitas would have preferred the best be here than their substitute Aduro. For those who don't know, Aduro is coming off of the bench. The best has been the consistent middle laner for Dignitas since they began as Team Dignitas. And as Snipe is going to look to push this tower and inevitably get it, as there's only one member of Team Dignitas on that entire side of the map, Zapman's going to look to push the left side of the lane. And I wouldn't be surprised if they got a Phoenix out of this exchange, actually, Bart.
Fire Giant makes it very hard for Dignitas to fight into this. They're going to need some serious bombs from Agni to land, stack that passive up, and start. No, they're falling back. They're letting that one go. Wow, but I mean, that's what has to start the fight. They need the bombs to land. They need to shut down that hell healing. They need to pick her off somehow. But Wolfie really playing just lights out here, transitioning this into a very, very strong support style build. Breastplate of Valor finished. It looks like Last is supposed to do some damage, but with Thanatos in the air, Shing comes crashing back down. That's going to stun out Shadow Q, but he's going to be going up into Somersault Cloud, so not too much going his way. Incon is going to need a little bit of damage there. His healing going to start to be shut down by that bomb coming through and ticking him up. You do have the decoy now down from Wukong. Going to try to chase down Shing in the backlines. Last is here as well. This is an important kill. They're even going to use an Apollo ultimate, but they're going to miss, and Shing can turn this around. Zapman very, very, very low. Shing going to get healed up. There's a shield as well. Lassus has no chance here. Needs to secure this on the Shing somehow. Not going to find it in time. Leave coming out. Down he goes. A dot from Nick cleans him up. 3 down for 0, and that could very well be your game, ladies and gentlemen. Snipe looking so strong with this lineup.
Yeah, Sniper's going to play this very aggressively. They're just going to go into the Titan, RIP Minotaur. Every ability in the book comes out. Wolfie just played lights out as this hell. The Minotaur, the Titan is already below 50%. It is looking like it's going to be already in the book. Shin goes down thanks to Zapman. Always looking for the extra kill. But once more, Snipe takes over Dignitas in the path to 100K.
It's been a long time since Snipe has beat Dignitas.
It's been a very long. Seeing that Snipe victory screen with Dignitas up there, I'm getting chills thinking of the nostalgia games. You know what I mean, Bart?
Yeah, I mean that's been a while. I mean that's not to take anything away from either of these teams, but I mean it just goes to show you. Snipe has really improved. Wolfie being the kind of critical pickup there. Nick as well, moving to the starting role for them, has been really good. And they've done just tremendously this game. The draft was really, really nice. We didn't really see the synergy there off the bat. We're just not used to seeing this type of team. But, it's very bursty between Zhongkui and Hell. Lots of turnaround potential. Both of them healers with massive burst damage and some nice slow to boot. And then Thanatos, Shibalanke, and Geb combined for basically unkillable Thanatos with the Shibalanke ultimate to set it all up. That also sets up the split push of Shibalanke, who generally you would look at Apollo as the more dominant split pusher, but here we saw Allied the one to take 3 towers without any contention.
Yeah, because he's allowed to split push and still affect the team fight. That's Shibalanke's real powerful ability, and I just love to watch Shing on Thanatos, Bart. He plays it so well. He knows the